So let's dive into the first session of the day that is about explainable AI with Amazon SageMaker Clarify, delivered by Sarbani Maiti. Sarbani is an assistant vice president of Magic FinServe. She is a leader of the digital transformation program with over 20 years of experience in large investment banks. She currently works as a SaaS consultant for fintech organizations. In the past, she has worked and built a fraud detection model in AWS for a loyalty service program of a bank and also a chatbot using Rasa framework. She also built a model to predict the customer churn of a telecom company and a search engine using NLP. Please join me in welcoming Sarbani to talk on explainable AI with Amazon SageMaker Clarify. Over to you, Sarbani.
Am I audible? Hello, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the sessions today early morning. Uh, Today's sessions, the topic is explainable AI using Amazon SageMaker Clarify. My name is Sarvani. I am working as AVP Cloud Service in Magic Fencer. In today's sessions, I'm going to talk about three major key areas here. What is that? First of all, it is what is explainable AI. We are going to discuss the high level introduction. And then I'm going to talk about how explainable AI model can be built using Amazon SageMaker Clarify. And also we are going to look through one demo using SageMaker Studio. Let me share my screen. So here are the topics what we are targeting today in this half an hour session. So what is explainable AI and why are we talking about it? Now in the current era when we are talking about AI ML in almost all the areas, we are building a lot of applications and all the applications have a target. Either we are trying to predict something or we are trying to recommend decisions. So everywhere we are looking at some business outcome. Now, most of the cases, the machine learning model is kind of a black box. So the kind of decisions or predictions are made by the model. Sometimes it's very difficult to explain to the people who are not technical. When because at the end, most of the cases we have to present the outcome to the business people, and it becomes very difficult to explain all the numbers, algorithms in a form of a chart because they need something which is easy to understand in the form of some business domain or business terms. Here exactly, we are looking for some kind of interpretability or explainability from the model prediction. When we are talking about the decisions, now we have seen that machine learning AI system are making a lot of life-saving decisions in terms of the healthcare. When a model is predicting whether a patient is having cancer or not, then we can understand how important is that decision. So in every area of the in the entire life cycle of the model, we need to check whether we are able to trust the decisions. Am I good to trust the machine learning model? Am I able to explain what is the outcome, or can I trust the model decisions? Now when from our side we are having these questions, now there are a lot of governance. We are talking about AI governance, and there are people who are the external auditor who audits the system to check whether there is a bias, because the entire system is working along with the people. As a people, there are bias at every stage of the machine learning life cycle. Let me look at it. Okay, so this is a high level machine learning life cycle. So we can see at the first stage when we are trying to explain the problem, or we are trying to understand the problem, there is a question raised like, is an algorithm an ethical solution to the problem? Then the next, when we are talking about AI ML, definitely we'll be treating a lot of data. Data are there everywhere. we are talking about data before training, we are talking about data post training, we are talking about data when we are predicting the final outcome. Is the training data representative of different groups? Are the biases, are there biases in the pre-trained data or the post-trained data? Is there any bias at the predictive model? Is my model fair enough that we can trust the results? So all the questions are raised by auditor or business or different department for which we are building the system. How to answer all such questions? Mathematical algorithm, numbers, graphs are not a perfect solution. So here exactly we are talking about explainable AI. And fortunately, we have several algorithms, good algorithms are already available, what we can use in our model, which can help us to explain our model. We can interpret the result in a simple English rather than going deep into some technical analysis. There are a lot of simple algorithms, Bayesian classifier, decision trees, linear regression, logistic regression. They are simple and they are kind of good algorithm through which we can make some interpretable model. But if you're talking about some complex algorithm in PCA, deep neural network, ensemble model, random forest, to some extent, they are black box model. Yes, we get some high performance model with this complex algorithm, but they are actually, we lose the interpretability and explainability. To find out a solution, we are going to talk about one very famous algorithm, Shapley. I'm going to talk about Shapley with a small example after this slide. And which tool we are going to use here? We're going to use AWS SageMaker Clarify. Now, why so? Shapley is an open source algorithm and it is available with Python module. We can import the Shap module and we can use it in our code and we can implement that explainable AI in our machine learning model. Now, model can be based on linear regression or XGBoost or decision tree or logistic regression, but we can use Shapley with our model very well. Then why are you talking about SageMaker Clarify? As we heard in our first keynote and last two keynotes, that in machine learning model, when we are trying to build a production ready system, we need to look at the data volume and the infrastructure. Now, in a lot of cases, it is very difficult to build that kind of infrastructure in our on-prem data center. Here exactly we are leveraging cloud. And in AWS, we have seen AWS is already offering a large set of capabilities in this AI ML system. So it's very easy for the data scientist to use the AWS services and build the model quickly without understanding the infrastructure hassle. Because as a data scientist and developer, people who should be able to focus on the model development, hyper tuning, optimizations, how the prediction is coming, how can we improve the model, etc. But if we can get a ready-made infrastructure which is helping to scale up quickly and handle the large volume of data, exactly there we're going to get benefit from this AWS services. Now, if we look at this particular service, SageMaker Clarify, we can see Clarify is actually helping in two different areas of explainable AI. One is detecting bias in the dataset. Now, bias can be there before training, bias can be there post training. Clarify modules will be able to help us to detect this bias by various bias statistical metrics. And we can also create the bias report. Now, second part is that how to detect bias in the model and how can we explain the prediction result. There also we can take help from the Clarify, and by using the Clarify ready-made modules, we can extract the different metrics, statistics. Not only that, we can create nice visual charts, which is very easy to explain to the business people. In next few slides and next few minutes, I'll be going through one example where we are going to explain the credit decisions using SageMaker Clarify. Here I have used the SageMaker Studio and built-in solution which can be launched quickly by using the SageMaker Jumpstart. Now, why this particular example has been selected, and let's just look at quickly. In the banks, whenever there is a credit applications is submitted, generally banks try to find out what is the risk factor associated with that particular applications. Now, this can be judged based on the demographic, based on the applicant's personal informations. There are a lot of third party banks, they provide a lot of informations to find out the credit history, and we always try to make our credit history good, so that I can apply for a credit card and I'll get it quickly. And why do the bank want to do this? Because if a credit application is accepted and after that amount is not paid, definitely there are a lot of amounts bank is going to lose, and most of the banks, there are a lot of a good amount of a good percentage of the amount is lost because of this default. On the other side, if bank reject a legitimate applications, they may lose a loyal, trustworthy customer, which may go against the bank's positive image. So this is very important to understand the risk factor associated with applications, so that we don't raise question against someone improperly. As credit, whether the credit application is rejected or not, that is going to raise question against a person. It is very important for the bank to be able to explain if certain questions are raised by the auditor or the person itself. So here it's very important, if we can build a machine learning model along with the explainable module, then it's going to help the business. Now, what exactly Clarifai is doing here? It will explain the specific failure cases in the model predictions. Then it will help us to explain risk factor associated with the credit applications. It will help us to achieve the stakeholders' trust in the model, identify potential bias in the model. Like if a certain banks is rejecting a certain set of applications, it's very important to check if there is a potential bias present in the system or not. Bias can be anything. Comply with right for explanation for users. As I was talking about, there are a lot of governing bodies are coming up. As we are seeing, a lot of AIML systems are going in productions. This governing body are helping the system to come up with a fair decision. Let's look at an example here. The credit default prediction has been detected with the help of a credit risk score. Now on top, you can see it's written as 40%. And at the down, there it's written as baseline default rate is 10%. So this is the baseline, which is measured on the after building a basic model. There are 4 different features, input features are used here for simplicity. One is guarantor, residence type, age, and credit amount. Now, in the second picture, you can see the guarantor is highlighted as green, and rest of the features output are highlighted as amber or red, which is telling us guarantor has a positive impact on the prediction whether the applications will default or not. So if the guarantor feature is true, that means guarantor is present, it's the prediction of the credit default is that the application is less likely to default. So that means credit score will be, risk score will be less. But on the other side, there are 3 more features: residence type, age, and credit amount are pulling down the risk factor. I mean, it's actually increasing the risk and decreasing the positive impact on the predicted output. When we are talking about this data and predictions, here exactly we are going to build our explanation module along with the prediction. In this particular demo, we are not going to talk about the bias in the pre-train and post-train dataset. We are only going to focus on the prediction explanation for this particular model by using a very famous algorithm, Shapley, which is called Shapley additive explanation. The model here, we can use any model, XGBoost, LightGBM, CatBoost, Random Forest. In the sample model, we have used the LightGBM. Now, what exactly is that SHAP? SHAP is an algorithm which is called Shapley Additive Explanations. This model is actually built to use it was used in a game theory. Now, how can we relate a game with a machine learning model? In the game, the players, we can actually compare the players with the features of our model. And end of the game, there was a payout, and payout was based on the contribution of different players. Now here in our machine learning model, the prediction percentage, whatever our predictions is the outcome of the model, is based on the contribution from the different features which are used to build this model. Now, using this Shapley algorithm, generally we try to build different Shapley values. What are this? Let's look at one example here. Again, the same example where we have the guarantor one feature, then other features are residence type, age, credit amount, and then we are going to predict what is the credit default risk value. On the first picture, you can see all the with guarantor. So what first we are trying to build one model with guarantor field, where guarantor is set to true, residence type rental, age 18, credit amount $20K, and credit default risk has been calculated as 40%. Now another model is built, but here we are going to change the guarantor value from true to false. It's kind of we're switching off, but it's not that we're going to delete the feature. We're going to switching off the value from true to false, and rest of the feature will be same, and we're going to build the same model again. And here we see the credit default risk is coming up as 60%. So risk factor has been increased by switching off the guarantor field from true to false. So there is an effect of this particular feature. What is the effect here? It's calculated as the difference. So 40% was the earlier value. Now it's 60%. So it is minus 20. Why? The risk has been increased. It has a negative impact on the prediction. Again, another combinations. Now, second combinations is with guarantor. The entire example, we are using guarantor as our feature for which we are going to check what will be the Shapley values. With guarantor, again without guarantor, second picture. Here we can see, now guarantor is again true in the first model. Then we are going to pick up another feature, the residence type. The first value was own. Instead of rental, now we are going to change the ownership. As the ownership is going to be changed here, we'll see there is an impact in the credit default risk. Now here it is 10%. Great. So risk has gone down, definitely, because the person is owning one house. Now another combination will be made. The residence type is now switched off. Like here, it's kind of again from rental to the ownership. But here we are also kind of switching off the guarantor. So two fields are here changed, guarantor as well as residence type. And here we are getting the value as 20%. So there is another difference coming up, minus 20%. Earlier in the first picture, we got the value minus 20%. Here we are getting minus 10%. So that will be added in this list. Now in the same way, what we are going to do, we are going to build the model with different combinations of other features. But yes, our key feature would be guarantor. Now in the third picture, we can see we have picked up the age. Now age has been switched off in the first module. In the second module, we have switched off the guarantor along with age. And we have come up with another risk factor, which is 35%. Now similar way, at the end, we'll get a series of values, which is the effect of guarantor in the model prediction. These values are called the Shapley values. And finally, in an overall effect will be calculated which is coming up in this particular case minus 17%. Now, this is for one feature. The same way, this particular algorithm helps the model to calculate the effect of each feature on the prediction value. Now, let's look at the demo, what we are going to use here. In this particular demo, I'm going to use Amazon SageMaker Studio. Let me go back to my studio session. So this is my AWS account. You can see this is the Amazon SageMaker Studio. And in the SageMaker Studio itself, we have a built-in solution. So I have already launched the solution because it generally takes 20 minutes. So I just launched before the session here. And you can see it can be launched from the Jumpstart here. And the solution name is this, explaining credit rate. This is the corporate credit rating prediction. Once the solution is launched here, we'll be able to see there are a lot of components will be installed in the account. Actually, the solution is using one cloud formation stack, and the parent stack will launch several other child stack. So that entire solution will be built just by clicking launch, and that's it. Here you can see I have already built that endpoint and model. Now my endpoint is already active and model is also available here. Now let's look at the architecture of this solution, and then I'll open the notebook. Now, what are the services we are using here? So here we are using AWS Lambda, AWS Glue, S3, Notebook, ECR, and SageMaker Endpoint and SageMaker Batch Transfer. Now, where exactly is the Clarify and all this explainable model? Now, they are available. Once we'll build the model, after that, we'll apply all these explainable modules on top of the model so that we can build the endpoint solution along with explanation. Here, I'm not going to go deep into how the Glue, S3, and model training is used, because you will be having a lot of exciting sessions probably in the upcoming days. Now here I'm going to show you the architecture. So here is the architecture. So the Lambda is used to build the data set. It is a synthetic test data set which has been downloaded from a public site. The data set is having the credit transactions, the applicant's demographic informations, and the contact information. I'll show it in a bit. Then the S3 bucket is used for all the storage purpose. We'll store the data, we'll store the model in S3 bucket. Glue is used, it's an ATL job. It is used to pre-process the data. Then Amazon SageMaker is used to train the model. The model is trained using a pre-built Docker image. The Docker image is pre-built with the scikit-learn model along with our model environment. All the modules are already pre-built there, and it will be running inside the container. Now here in this particular solutions, both the modules are included here. One part is once the model is built, how the model is used to predict the credit risk for individual transactions and the batch transaction. So here we have model endpoint, and then we have used the SageMaker batch transform to predict the credit risk for a batch data. So here I'm showing on the screen. So once you log into the SageMaker Studio, it will show us this particular screen from the Jumpstart. Let me see. So once we launch so here browse Jumpstart, you will see all the solutions are available. So this corporate credit rating prediction solutions are used here. And here I can see. Now I'm going to open the notebooks. So once the solution is launched, here is the stack which is created. So this is my cloud formation screen. This is my demo account. And this you can see this stack has been launched half an hour back. This is the parent stack. Within the stack, we can see a lot of other child stacks are already created. Each stack has its own purpose. Few will be processing the data, few will be dealing with Glue, few will be dealing with the SageMaker, and the entire infrastructure will be built for the solution. In AWS Glue, I can see here my tables are already created along with the schema. So let's say people, contacts, and train, test data, everything is created. So this is one example of the table which is created here in Glue by using the crawler. And this is one schema which is used under the people data. Now let me open the, okay, it's taking few minutes. So I have already downloaded the notebook because generally it takes few minutes to open everything. So this is the first notebook will be created once we launch the solution. This particular notebook is dealing with the data. First dataset is the credit dataset. You can see here is the output of the credit dataset. It will have the credit ID, person ID, amount, duration, typical details about a particular credit applications. Then the second dataset is a JSON dataset. It is talking about the people demographic. We can see the person ID is important, is the key here. This person ID, and here in the credit data, we have the person ID. So once we'll merge all three data sets, we'll be using this key field to merge it in one data set. Third data set is the contact informations. I'm kind of going through it. Now we can take help from AWS Glue, and the Glue database is here. Let me see, it's launched. Okay, it's still launching. So in the Glue, you can see the script is already created here. The script which is doing all the pre-processing jobs. So this is an example of the script. I'm not going deep detail into the script, but here is the script. It's a PySpark script which is created, and it's doing all the good things about the data. And here exactly we can see the benefit of the solution because we can customize it. Now let's say we are using it for our own data set, then we have to customize and modify this script so that we can use our pre-processing script, or we can upload our own pre-processing script and we can use it for our own data. Now second, let's move on to the rest of the data set. Here we can see the data set is created. Then we are also building the schema in the Glue database. The schema table will be created for each of this data set, which will be used to store the metadata information. Now, once the data set is ready, we are kind of loading the SageMaker sessions by using the Boto sessions, and then we are going to launch the SageMaker to train the model using the data. The second notebook, so once this notebook is launched and we'll run it, I think it's already here. Yeah, so you can see the notebooks are here. So this is the first one, is kind of the introduction. Then once I'll open the second notebook, and here I have to launch my kernel. I'm going to launch the kernel as SageMaker Jumpstart. This is a consolidated data science environment which will be launched, and on top of that I can run the notebook. Now I have already run it and downloaded here. So this is the output of the first data set we have just seen. Now let's look at the second data. Now second notebook is talking about the model training. So let's look at it. So we are exactly here. So this particular notebook is going to launch the SageMaker training job by using the predefined pre-built Docker image on the ECR. And then the final model will be stored in the Amazon S3 bucket. Here are all the input files. Then here we are launching the container, and here we are starting. You can see here is the output, which is starting the actual training job. So it takes around 10-15 minutes. I'll not be able to run it here. You can see all the result, and then so training job started. Now here you can see training job completed. Now here you can see how the training job is triggered here by using the estimator and .fit. And here we are passing all the schema, what we have built in our previous notebook. Then train dataset, label train, then test dataset, all are passed by using the SageMaker AWS S3 bucket. The absolute path is given here. So source and target path are placed, and then model is built, and model will be available on the S3 dataset. Now again, if we need to customize that for our own model, we can do it here. And I'm going to now show where all the codes are residing inside the SageMaker Studio. So once all the notebooks are launched and we run them, we'll be able to see here exactly on the S3 download folder, we'll be able to see all our solutions. So this is the solution I just launched. Here you will see a couple of folders. One is the model training, model interface, and there are a couple of others. Let's open the model training. So train.py. So train.py is the model actual Python code where exactly we are writing our Python code for model training. If we want to run our own model, we have to change this code. So that's kind of your whatever model we want to use, whatever data we want to use. Then another place, you can look at it here. Model inference, that is for the endpoint. We'll go there later. Then here you can see, let me just go to the. So once training is done, then the next would be how to generate the endpoint. Now in our case, this notebook 3 is the most important part, because here exactly we are going to build the model and prediction at the endpoint along with the explanations. Now let's look at it. Here again, all the packages are installed. Then Boto 3 SageMaker package is installed here. And here we are calling two functions, get latest training job and model data. So why we are calling this? Because in our previous notebook, we have built the model, and always we are trying to take the latest model which is built by the notebook or our previous jobs. Then once the latest job is taken, here you can see we are calling this particular function sklearn model, and here we are passing our explainer name. Now if you look at it in this model, when we are getting the model data, we are getting all the model artifacts. All the model artifacts are stored in the S3 bucket. Then when we are calling the sklearn model function, here we are passing one entry point, which is called entry_point.py. Now this code, let's look at the code here. So if you see here in this training point also, we are going to call several other models. Let's not go deep into this one right now. So this is our interface, final endpoint. Okay. Now here. So this model, I'm not able to find out the source folder here because this particular solution is not yet run on this particular instances. So let me go back to my previous one, what I launched earlier. I think, yeah, this is another solution which is already launched. So once I run all the notebook, then only I will be able to see all the folder. You can see the difference here. This particular folder I just launched, but I have not yet run it. Solution is not yet running on my instance. But if I look at my previous one, which is already running, so here I can see notebooks are already created. So total, there are 5 notebooks will be created. Right now, I am on the 3rd notebook. This is important for us because we are trying to find out the explanation here. And then if we look at the code quickly, in the container, we'll be able to see all our model code. So here the source code are available. So whenever we want to customize the code for our own model, we have to go and check. So here in the training entry point, there are 2 different entry, which is important for us. One is the normal training, and then here is we are calling the explaining module, which is going to be used here in this model to explain the final prediction. In the final prediction, how does it work? we can see there are 4 different functions are passed. One is model function, predict function, input function, output. I am not able to explain how the model will be predicted at the endpoint because of the time constraint. That's a separate area altogether. But this is quite generic and standard in AWS SageMaker, how the model is predicted by using the SageMaker endpoint. And this is done by this solution. After this particular notebook 3, we'll be able to see our model prediction is available at the endpoint. Where is the endpoint? We can see it here. So if we click on this endpoint, you can see in service. This is from my previous one because I just ran it. So endpoint is already created. If I pass any input request as a JSON editor, it will create a response. And here exactly we'll be able to see the model explanations and bias report, etc.
Sarbani, apologies for the interruption. Sure. Since we are running a little short on time, would you be able to wrap up quickly?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So let me just quickly go through what is the output of this, which is interesting here. Once everything will run, we'll be able to see the beautiful visual output. Here you can see this finance feature is having a positive impact on the risk score, and all other features are having a negative impact. And as a business user, they will be able to understand what is the impact. The same, this is another detailed report we can create. Here also you can see if the financial account checking balance is no, and the value is actually 1. That means I have another account with the bank, then definitely my risk score will be less. But there are a couple of other features which is bringing down my risk score in this entire application. If I look at it, I will be able to understand how different features are impacting my final predictions. I think with this one, I'm going to stop. And I have already shared the link of the code. And if someone from the team can post it, you'll be able to see that in the GitHub code. And I'm not sure if I can, even I can share this deck with the audience if it is possible. Thank you so much.
That was quite interesting. Thank you so much for this insightful session. So we can see if the audience has any questions. Okay, so moving ahead to the first question from our attendees. So Yuvraj Pandey says that he's currently working on home loan defaulter prediction, but due to huge data set that is having 7 CSV files, even most of the time Colab also got stuck. So how can he do this by using AWS for future EDA?
Definitely. So definitely Colab will stuck. If we are using the free Colab versions, that doesn't work. You can use the GPU, but that has a limit. After a certain point of time, it will be collapsed. So for AWS, definitely you can use the free tier version. If you are working on in a client project in a production, they must be having some production AWS account, and we can easily upload the huge data set in AWS, and by using ETL solution, we can use the glue script, and we can do a lot of EDA and data pre-processing quickly. And the good thing about that, we can scale it up by using a higher version of the instances. And once we are done with the pre-processing, we can just stop the instance, and we don't have to pay for that. So that's the good thing about cloud, that pay as you use. Once you are done, so all the pre-processing, training, we can use the higher version of the instances. Once we are done, then we can just stop and we can come back to our normal instance version, so that we can save a lot of cost there.
Thank you.
Hope, it helps.
All right. So yeah, that was quite descriptive. So moving ahead to the next question. It says how to analyze data and evaluate machine learning models on Amazon SageMaker.
Okay, so here in Amazon SageMaker, we have endpoint, Amazon SageMaker endpoint. Then we have tuning options. We can also use the hypertuner, and good thing that each is kind of having a separate module. It's quite modular. Pre-processing, model training, then we can move, we can run all our hypertuning jobs where we can evaluate our model depending on the hypertuner different values, and we can also visualize this in for all the cases. And everything can be done using SageMaker Studio.
Build. Go. Build. Go. Build. Go build. There is no compression algorithm for experience. Def and test are the most important workloads. Dance like nobody's watching. 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 Dance like nobody's watching.